Hey guys, it's Cassandra from Beads to Live By. How's everybody doing tonight? Um, Yay, got a couple people on here. I'll make sure I've got my comments showing. Maria, you're never on like a scheduled time crunch as far as I'm concerned anyways, but I'm glad that you're here to catch the very beginning of everything. Are you going to be working along? Hey, Minky. My application that I use to do these videos is like popping up with all these suggestions. This time of night, I try so hard to figure out how to like not. I feel like I'm in like a scary movie where I've got like the flashlight under my face, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing on camera. So that's like the trade-off is looking like I have this like weird underglow. Hey, Valerie. Oh, yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. I am excited to be here. I've got this great project that, if anyone doesn't know who Sheila is, that's my mom who is like, has been beading longer than I have been and got me into it and is a very talented designer in her own right. So, she designed this adorable, gosh, I'm gonna be knocking my display around tonight. It's adorable little flower component, which I thought looked really cute with these bumblebees that I finally got listed on our website. Aw, thanks, Valerie. Very much appreciated, you guys, the likes, the shares, even just being here and chatting with me if you don't do a bunch of other techie stuff. It's just nice not to be talking into a void. So I very much appreciate it. And I'm excited that you guys are excited about the project too. So there's a formal Facebook post with the supply list. I apologize. I did not create a banner to list the supplies out. And I don't really want to do that while I'm on screen because it's very awkward. So, you know what? Maybe, I wonder if I can just show, I bet I can't just show the one camera. I've never done that before. Let's see. There we go. Okay. I can make you guys a quick supply list. Thank you. Who just said that, Maria? Like I saw somebody said that it was beautiful, but I also really want to be able to make this bigger. So I'm going to we'll flash the other wall here. Yeah, there we go. I just don't know how that layout's going to work with try to get it back on the cradle without, just want to make sure I've got as much surface area as you guys can manage, but no, that's gonna, yeah, all right. We're gonna turn things around a little bit. I promise it's gonna be better. Yes, Maria, I do feel like it's possible to add the supply list at the end, but I would really love to be able to just give you guys that information really quick here. So I'll talk about it while I do it. You're going to be working with size 15, 11, and 8 seed beads. So the sizes that are probably the most common for us, but all of them at once. And then 2 and 4 millimeter fire polish. Those are like your main goodies there. And then the thread that we're working with is a 6-pound fire line. I have to catch myself and make sure I'm saying the right type of thread when I say the size, because most of them come in certain sizes. All right, we'll make this quick and easy here. So did we catch all that? 15s, 11s, and 8 seed beads, 2 mad. 2 and 4 millimeter fire polish, so close. Gotta love that autocorrect. And then size 11 or 12 needles probably would work. Size 12 would be safe, the safest bet. And then in ear wires, we're looking at just a few additional items. Okay, so we're gonna turn this back around. I've got myself kind of rearranged a tiny bit, and we're gonna see if this layout works a little bit better here. So my main goal in these situations, and I don't know if I'm achieving it, is I want maximum light for you guys. There we go. That actually feels pretty good. So now I feel like I can get up close to the camera and you guys can see. Unfortunately, even though I can like look at the camera view on like my, I can turn my camera on my phone on and kind of preview things that way. It doesn't always help with really getting a good picture for what the layout's going to look like in the live broadcast. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. And in case you are unfamiliar, I've got stickers all over this, but we like the black satin Fireline, and it's a craft store only material. Unlike the traditional Fireline, can be purchased like for fishing and stuff too. Valerie. So I encourage people to use materials that work the best for them, but I will warn you that if you use too large of a needle when you're working on projects with size 15 seed beads, you're gonna potentially run into some issues. So I'll post the supply list at the end again, but oh no, here we go. You can find, I think, any and all materials. If you have trouble, finding certain things on the website, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But generally speaking, we should have everything available. And I'm working hard to get these darn thread cutters back in. These are our favorite fishing line style cutters. I don't really need something like that for like a regular thread, like a 1G or a Sono, but with the fishing line styles, they're rough. Maria, mine used to be a size 12. Maria says that her default needle size is a size 12. And although I feel the same for a lot of reasons, I have started using 11s more just because I'm really hard on my needles. Like I only use tulips, and I don't know if you can see the curve on that needle, but it is substantial. So if you've never seen me thread a needle before, I'm trying to do it on camera so desperately, but it's really difficult to do it. There we go. So you saw how it was just like barely sticking out of between my fingers. I used my first finger and my thumb to pinch the thread, but the thread is not like, so like I'm not holding the needle like this. Or the thread. I'm not holding the thread like this. The thread is like way down between my finger and my thumb so that I can guide the needle over the thread while it's actually between my fingers. So that is how you can sort of get away with using a slightly skinnier needle than what you can generally see. And I apologize for the state of my bead board. It's a bit filled with fuzz and beads right now. Use my handy dandy triangle to just like sweep it off a little bit, but So this is my sample showing you guys what you can do with this component. And there's a nice picture of it on Facebook and Instagram, a still shot, and actually the preview for the YouTube video as well. But so that'll show you kind of where the bumblebee is attached, and we'll try to go over that tonight. But I'm going to be working with different colors for a different project that is not finished yet. Sheila's working on a beautiful piece that will utilize these flowers for a formal class. So you guys get to learn how to do the flowers tonight. And the attachment for the earring is pretty standard with that little bumblebee hanging. But then the other project will be available as a class later. Yes, Maria. Sometimes I hear things over and over again, and I try not to repeat them just for the sake of not wanting to repeat other people's phraseology, but needling the thread instead of threading the needle. Because when you try to use a sewing technique and stick the thread through the needle eye, beading thread is actually larger than the eye of the beading needle. So you have to flatten it out really good, and then you have to make sure that you're kind of basically forcing the thread through the eye of the needle with other things like your fingers. So thanks, Lois. I know Sheila would appreciate knowing that you are enjoying this project. I hope you're doing well. So you would think for how humid it is in Michigan right now, because it has gotten humid in the last like 2 days. My sinuses are still all out of whack despite that. You would think I would be out like not dry and chugging water while talking for the video, but you are going to start with your size 8 seed beads. And for those of you who are just joining us, you will have a full supply list at the beginning of your replay. And you also can receive that by going to our Facebook page. I thought I had 5 on there. Uh-oh, my camera froze up. Shoot. All right. There we go. So 5 size 8 seed beads, and you're going to bring those down. We call this the tail end of the thread. This is the end of the thread that's furthest away from your needle. So like you cut a yard of thread, which is what I did. I don't feel like I said that out loud. 1 yard of 6-pound fire line, and you put your needle at one end, and then the opposite end is the tail. So I am only going to leave enough of the tail just to hang on to. So like 3 or 4 inches is really all you're looking for. And we're going to crisscross the thread, crisscross applesauce, and bring the tail through that loop. So when you are pulling down on those beads, this is what happens. We've got 1, and then do the crisscross and tail through the loop again, and you pull that down. You just have to be careful that your thread doesn't cross over anything else. And when you get that nice and tight, you're basically going to have, it doesn't really look like a circle. It's going to look like its own little flower, actually. And then we're going to go through, I like to go through a couple of beads to get away from my knot. So you're going to go through a couple of beads and get over to, oops, sorry guys, I keep making the mistake of not looking up to see that camera image. So now we've got just 5 of those size 8s in a circle, and you are going to add 7 of your size 15s to your needle, and then you're going to add 111 and then 7 more of these size 15s. And this is not repeated the whole way around exactly. There's going to be modifications. So we've got that addition there. And coming out of your size 8 in your loop, you're actually going to take your needle and go through the same size 8, but from the opposite side of where your thread's coming out. So your needle is going to loop around and come back out the same side of that original size 8. And then before you do anything else, you're going to go through another size 8 seed bead. And now you're ready for your addition of more seed beads. So you're going to start with 7 of the 15s. And then 111. And then this time you're only going to add 4 more 15s. So the last addition is just 4 of your size 15s. And hold that up so you can kind of see. The reason for that is because before we go through that size 8 that we're coming out of, we're going to share 3 of our size 15s from the previous loop. And you do want to keep tension. You saw that those beads in the thread just kind of pulled loose a little bit. You want to keep tension on that other piece of thread. But when you pull everything taut, including your new loop, you see how it's that typical flower petal when you draw it, where there's overlapping lines closest to the center. That's what we're creating with the seed beads there. So now you're going to go through the size 8 that you were just coming out of before you started that process with the 15s. And then we're going to go through an additional size 8. So one that doesn't have any 15s really attached to it right now. And remember, if you're following along and you get behind it all, you can, on the replay, pause and slow me down a little bit. So Valerie posted a light bulb. That's how it got done. Yes, I think that's what she means. So I'm adding 7 more of my 15s and 111, and then only 4 15s. So this is an exact repeat of what I just did. I'm going to go towards the center through the bottom or innermost 3 15s from the previous stitch. Trying hard to show that on camera because those beads are so tiny. And then once you pull that down, I would say then go through the 8 that you were working with to begin with in that step. I always like twist my work around until I feel like the needle catches the light so you guys can actually see where that needle is at. And then we're gonna bring the needle through the next 8. Aw, thanks, Susan. You did see that this is Sheila's design, right? So creative. All right, so we're going to repeat that same process one more time. 7 of our 15s, and I think I need to get more 11s out. Didn't knock those out of the bag when I was dumping everything that I needed out. There we go. So did I get 7 of my 15s? No, I've got 6 on there, I think. 7 and then 111 and then 4 more 15s. So same as the last few. steps here. And we're going to go through those inner 3/15s. Oh, I'm going to catch my thread on my scissors. And this time, when you go through your 8s, you're going to come out of that last empty 8, and you might notice that you are surrounded by petals. So when you have filled 4 out of the 5 8s with petals, you are actually going to take your needle, and on that last 8, you will work up through, I'm sorry, I've got to lean in a little here. You'll actually work up through those. So it's from your first petal, the side closest to the last 8, you're going to work up through those 3/15s. And then once you get out of your thread's coming out of the edge of your petal now, you're going to only add 4 15s. And 1 11, and then 4 15s. And then I know it's probably hard to believe, but unless you're like attaching to something or adding loops for your earrings, you at this point are done with your seed beads. So we're going to go, everything else about this step is the same. You're going to go down through the last 3 15s on the interior part of the petal. So I'll make sure and turn this so you can see exactly what we're doing as much as possible. And then when you pull that down, those beads will sit outside of, so like this is the part you just added, is that loop. And when you pull it down, it completes your petals. So then from there, you definitely want to go back through your size 8 that's in the center of that petal. So it's the 5th size 8 that you added a petal to, technically. Because going through that is going to put you in place to add your 4mm fire polish, which are going to fill the holes that currently exist in your petals. Now, this is really cute all by itself. That's a nice little lacy flower. If you were feeling very minimalistic, you could leave it like that. But you know, we like to do a little bit of extra around, beads to live by. So with that 4mm on your needle, you're going to go from the 8 that you just, actually, I don't know. We'll see how this works. You're coming out of an 8, and in the same petal, you're going to go through the 11. I'm hesitating because I feel like this is going to be a tough situation for your tension, but you just got to make sure and not let your petal fall loose while you're doing this. So once you go through the 11, you're going to go back through the 4mm. So you're going towards the center again, not the direction my head just turned. That's just like the opposite in my mind. And then once you want to like really grasp that petal and 4mm and keep everything in place. And then you want to go through, you're going to go through the 8 that you started at, and then you're going to move through to the next 8. This is very reminiscent of the beginning as far as the way you move through those 8s. So this part is a straight repeat. You come out of an empty petal from the 8 and you add a 4 millimeter, and then you go to the size 11 at the end of that petal, and when you pull your 4 millimeter down, you're going to go back through the 4 millimeter and make sure and keep everything taut. And then you're going to go through the same 8 you started from in that step. And I like to just slip on over to the next 8 while I'm at it. And quick like a bunny, I'm just going to move around this because we're very close to being done. So does this surprise some of you like it did Valerie? I think that the structure or the steps were not maybe what she expected. We like to throw a little bit of magic at you guys every once in a while. Oh, there goes those are my scissors that I kind of tossed to the side when they were getting caught on my thread. Now, unlike other types of circular movement in bead weaving, this portion does not change at the end. This part of your flower, the addition of the 4 millimeters will remain the same all the way around the flower. Ouch. Try not to stab myself while I'm teaching you. It's hard sometimes to manage that. I get carried away. Now there's lots of ways to add charms and your ear wires, but once you go through that last size 8 after adding the last 4 millimeter, you're coming out of a center size 8, you're going to attach or string on one of your 2 millimeter fire polish. And then you want to just go across your work however you're going to be able to get that 2 millimeter to lay most evenly. So like this is my thread path here, coming out of the opposite, like there's kind of a triangle of 3/8 because it's an odd number of beads, you're not actually going to go through a completely 100% opposite bead. But if you work it right, and I think I might want to actually go the other direction through that other 8. So we'll try this direction. So coming out of there and going through there. There we go. It's like, I know there's a way to make this. It almost is like you have to zigzag a little. You'll understand what I'm saying when you go to do it. But that, like, you can really center your 2 millimeter by going through the right beads. Valerie, I think that's the biggest compliment as a beader, as a designer, that we can create something that looks intricate, but that as a designer and teacher that we can make it so that you feel like you are capable of also doing it yourself. So coming out of one of those center 8s, you're just going to go up through a bunch of your 15s, and then that's going to turn you towards, you just want to continue your path until you exit an 11. Now, a little bit about creating an earring, which I'm not going to officially do with this particular piece, but because it's a 5-sided flower, which is, nature is usually odd numbers, I used a point of one of my petals to do some more 15s. So I will show you that part. It's a pretty easy step. I did, I think 6 of those 15s coming out of an 11. And then you want to go back through the same 11 from the opposite side of where your thread started at with those 6 15s on there. So that creates a really easy loop. And I would usually reinforce that loop and then go beyond down the other side of the petal to complete the attachment for the earring wire. But since I am not making an earring out of this particular flower, I will also show you on the base, I created this little triangle and then came out of the center of the base of it to add another bead. Because if I just strung through my bee, my honeybee, the ring itself, and just like strung it on between those petals, it would sit sideways. Now you could use a jump ring here. I would caution people though, with really fine stitching and jump rings, it's more likely that you're going to lose it. I feel better having that little bee stitched right on there. And if you are looking at our website listing for the honeybees, this is the smallest of the 2 charms. There are 2 sizes, and I'll show you the difference in size here. So you can see the weight of the honeybee. So that bigger one's a little more intricate, a little busier, and bigger next to that flower. But there's really no end to the types of things you could do for attachments with these. There's really a lot of room for creativity. So that is our little penny flower project. So thank you again so much to Sheila Shawnee for her donation of the design for this. She's one of our teachers and influencers at the bead store. So she plays with some of our goodies that we carry. And you can find all of these fire polish, the 4 and 2 millimeters on our website, and most of the seed beads we've used here as well are available there. And I did make sure and list those honeybee charms for the sake of the project tonight. But be on the lookout for the class that Sheila's going to be offering, because it's going to be a little bit involved, a little bit intermediate and intense, but the flowers are going to be a big part of that project design. Oh, that's such a great question, Shelly. So 6, 9, I think you would want to have at least 18. So if you are working with our 4 millimeter fire polish strands, there's 50 beads on a strand. So you can make 10 flowers with 1 strand of beads theoretically. So you would want at least 2 strands of 4mm ferrite polish in order to do the class with Sheila. These are such great questions, Shelly. She did use all of the same color, but you definitely have artistic license to work with different colors if you prefer. And we'll make sure once she is finished with that design and once we're able to list the class, if you are a student or would like to be a student, just let me know. I can tell you, I can share colors that we used in our samples for these flowers. So I hope you all had a wonderful night. Shelly, that's a great idea. I think anytime you can work ahead on something. Important note, if you are intending to take Sheila's class using these flowers, you will want, when you make each flower, to leave like a foot of thread, like at least a 12-inch piece of thread. So the working thread that you have, when I start with a yard, and that's probably a little too much, but you want to leave that big long piece that you have at the end so that you've got something to attach them with when you get to the point of putting it all together. So, and brush up on your herringbone or end-of-belly stitch. That'll be my other clue. It's like a little mystery project. But yeah, I look forward to seeing all of the penny flowers that you guys create and what you do with them. I've got some ideas of my own for maybe a little springy design that uses them as well, just to show them off. And thanks again for joining me tonight. I will see you all soon. And if you are interested in sharing your work with us, we've got a Facebook group for the store called Beads in Progress, and that's where we show off things that we're making with beads from Beads to Live By, or projects that we are working on from classes that have been taught here, or designs shared within these videos. So feel free to ask for an add to that group and share all of your beautiful creations with us. You guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.